Hi, so you'd probably rather be hearing all this from Vocal Pineapple Academia or someone you actually know about, but seeing the amount of discourse that happened around this subject recently really made me want to talk about it. As you may know, My Hero Academia's final war arc finally ended recently, and I personally thought it was an amazing start to finish. I mean, yeah, I would have preferred it if Shigaraki got a bit more screen time at the end of the fight, but that's genuinely one of the only criticisms I and many others have about this entire arc. And, dude, the arc was literally over 80 or so chapters and people only have like a handful of complaints about it. I think that's enough proof that it was a pretty damn good arc, to say the least. Anyways, back to the topic that's the reason of this video's existence. Deku is now supposedly back to being quirkless again after the war's finally over. He's only left with the embers of One For All, which will eventually run out. What I saw a lot of people be upset with is this panel where Deku tells Bakugo that he'll soon be completely quirkless again, and he says that he's not really sad over losing One For All. And I saw people say that this was character assassination for Deku and that the true Deku, whatever that means, would not be this nonchalant about losing his quirk, and that Deku hasn't even acted like himself this entire time. And to that, I genuinely just want to ask you, have we been even reading the same manga? Deku as a character has been established as a self-sacrificial person since the beginning of the series. This self-sacrificial to a detrimental extent character trait has always been a part of him, and it probably always will be. Which is why at least I wasn't surprised when Deku agreed to pass on One For All to Shigaraki to defeat him. And since it's relevant to the topic at hand, let's go back to this chapter, please. Deku was clearly distraught beyond relief at having to sacrifice the irreplaceable gift and blessing he received from the hero he admires the most. And it is so obvious that Deku's hiding his true feelings in this recent chapter. He's trying to rationalize the loss of his quirk with logic so he doesn't break down himself. He tries to justify the loss of his quirk with the fact that he wasn't even born with one in the first place, as if that means it's okay. Deku tries to comfort Bakugo by saying he's not fully there yet and he still has the embers within him, but you can clearly see his speech bubbles start to tremble. His voice is becoming shaky. He's not okay. I saw people call the scene insulting and so many other things when Deku's very clearly downplaying his sacrifices and himself so people don't worry about him while trying to not let his own emotions run wild. I honestly do not understand how this can be insulting to the reader when this is completely in character for him. You gotta remember, it's only been like a year since Deku got into UA in universe. He can't instantly open himself up to others after a decade of being ridiculed by his peers for something he was born without. Deku, despite everything he's achieved, is still someone who was an outcast from society. He literally has a track record of bottling things up and pretending everything is fine. Did you people forget about his mental and physical state in the Dark Hero arc? Deku being like this is the direct result of society isolating him for 10 years. It's obviously hard to open up when your only defense against the world is closing yourself away from it. He's literally trembling trying to uphold his strength in the face of a grieving Bakugo in front of him. People took this single page at face value and ignored everything else. Everything else. And I think the reason so many people are reacting like this is because many manga that have come out in recent times heavily rely on handholdy inner monologues to the point that manga fans have just become so accustomed to stories that just tell them blatantly what's going on inside the characters' minds that literally almost any form of total storytelling is pretty much becoming a lost art in this day and age. And contrary to common belief in this manga community, good character writing is one where the audience can actually understand a character enough from previously established material that they can pretty easily figure out their current mental state using those clues. That's what the readers are supposed to be doing. But instead, you get people calling Deku a shell of his former self now? For what, acting like himself? And then again, to be honest, most people who actually read the words instead of just looking at the pretty pictures have agreed that Deku's not being truthful to himself right now. And people upset over this aren't just a loud minority, but it still bothers me that this is happening at all. At the end of the day, all I'm gonna say is My Hero Academia is not over yet. We still have 5 chapters left, though according to leaks, and thanks to leaks, we do know that the newest chapter that's gonna come out in like a few days, I think, is about the Todoroki family, but come on, 4 more chapters left. Horikoshi definitely has plans that will be revealed soon. my parting words, just believe in him, let him cook. He's not gonna disappoint you. Unless you're a Shigaraki fan, and while I'd still like to cope that the fucking black-haired dude in the newest chapter is Tenko somehow, but listen man, it's not looking good for you. Other than that, it's pretty peak.